All right, this is Deanna Marie, and welcome back here to the Clue Seat. And today we're going to be talking about how God is getting ready to make what was once bitter in your life into something very sweet. Okay, so let's get started. All right, today's Bible reference is going to be Exodus chapter 15, verse 25. So you guys know how I am. Open up those Bibles, get in the Word, pray, open up the lines of communication, and let Him speak to you what He wants to speak to you about. Okay, at this point in the Bible, Moses and the people of Israel, God has set them free from Egypt. They're no longer slaves, and they saw God part the seas. They've walked into the wilderness, and now they are approaching and they get to a body of water. And they start to drink out of it, and they realize that it's bitter. It may look pretty, but it's bitter, and they can't drink out of it. If they drank out of it, they would probably get sick and die. And so they complain. They're like, why were we set free to just come here and to look at this and to be here, everything. And they start to do the complaining thing where they start looking back at their past and stuff like that. Moses ends up throwing a stick into the water. It turns sweet, and they can drink the water. Okay, what does that mean for you? Okay, there are certain people in the Bible that have had to have very, very bitter lives in the very beginning. Okay, Sarah could not have kids. She was married to Abraham, one of the most wealthy men, the man that God promised all the promised land to, and that he would be have descendants as numerous as the stars and stuff like that. For her to walk around and not be able to have children would have been very, very bitter. She would have been and it says she laughed bitterly, mockingly, when God said, hey, I'm going to come back here around this time next year, and she's going to have a son. And she laughs because she thinks now that I'm so old, now I'm going to get what I want. Okay, another person, Naomi. Naomi was a widow. Her husband, she watched her husband die in the land of Moab when she went there, trying to avoid a famine in her hometown. She goes there. She goes with her husband, sons, and she probably had everything to look forward to, right? They were going to escape the famine and all kinds of other stuff. She gets there. While living there, her husband dies, her two sons die, and she ends up having her daughter-in-law, Ruth, take care of her. And when she gets back to Israel, after she learns that there's no longer a famine there, and she goes home, people are so excited to see her, and she's like, don't call me that. Don't call me Naomi. That's not my name. Call me Mara, because I'm bitter with life. God has made my life bitter, okay? And for some of you guys, you may feel like that too. You may feel like, my life, I have nothing to look forward to. I've had horrible thing after horrible thing after horrible thing happen to me, and I've done nothing wrong to deserve this. I don't understand what God's doing. I don't get it. I don't know why. Let me tell you something. It does not take but an overnight change, a moment, a simple one little miracle for God to change everything in your life. Moses threw the stick in there. He did not have to go and dig a well and pump the water and do all of this for God to make that water drinkable. No, it says he threw a stick in there, and then that was all it took. So for some of you guys, you're just missing one little thing. One little miracle, one little blessing, one moment where God changes your life, and your life goes from bitter, undrinkable, something that you don't want to even look at anymore, and it gets turned into something that's going to be so beautiful that you would thank Him every day for what He's getting ready to do for you. Don't ever think that God cannot take something that looks down and out and bitter and horrible and undrinkable and death and all that other stuff, and He can't fix that, because He can fix it, and He doesn't need anybody's help to do it. He doesn't need you to take years upon years of time to do stuff like that. No, He doesn't need that. He can do it in a minute. It takes one moment. So have a little bit of faith, because you know what? Sarah, God was with her, said that she was going to have a kid, and she didn't even believe him. She laughed. It says she laughed. And then the kicker is her son was named Laughter because she laughed again. She laughed again. It wasn't a name to mock her and say, oh, you laughed at me. Now this is, every time you see this child, you're going to remember how unbelieving and unrighteous you were compared to your husband. No, it wasn't. It was hey, remember when you used to laugh bitterly? Now you laugh with joy That's what God does when he comes into the situation. So if you need help with something, you have something that you want, you need something to get done or something like that, all you have to do is pray and ask. Just pray and ask him, because he is the person that can change it all for you. It just takes a moment of time. 1 moment of time for you to get all of your dreams to come true, to have one thing lead to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing in your life. That's all you need. Just one little stick thrown into your bitter water and your life will change. So ask him. And when he gives you a promise, believe it. When he sends you what you've asked for, receive it. Even though it may not look like what you think it's supposed to look like, it is meant for you. You asked for it. He's sending it to you. Don't reject the blessing because you think it's supposed to look like something else, or you're confused and you're like, well, I thought that when God did a miracle, it was going to look like this. Remember, Moses threw a stick in there. I'm sure that if the people said, how are we going to get fresh water? They didn't think it was going to be from a dirty stick. They thought, oh, well, we're going to build a well, or God's going to come down here and put on this razzle dazzle and we're all going to do this. No, that's not what it took. He took something that looked just normal and then he threw it in there and the whole thing changed. So you guys think about that, okay? All right, so anyways, like, share, subscribe, and comment as always, and I'll see you guys back here next time.